So once again, why go through all this trouble screaming about tariffs if you're just going to end up doing the same things you did your first term? Well, let's take a look at ABC News, and it kind of hints at something. And in my perspective, this is the only reason why Trump decided to take whatever deal was placed in front of him to prevent what was starting to happen. The whole, art of the deal. This is like art of the bluff, honestly. But let's go ahead and take a watch. So if this wasn't the quickest fold I done ever seen, okay, now I play a little poker, you know what I'm saying, and I'm actually thinking about starting a poker night in the Discord every Friday, so join the Discord if you want to, but I haven't seen anyone fold quicker when it comes to bluffing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you get those two cards and you look and your hand is trash. Okay, you have nothing. You're not going to beat anybody sitting at that table. Hell, you couldn't even beat yourself. Okay, and that's what Trump went into this administration, went into this term knowing that no one is taking him serious. And before the deadline, he's trying to negotiate deals for nothing. And once again, it's hard to hold people to a standard if those standards aren't clear. You know what I'm saying? Like playing football, clearly how to score points on a scoreboard. Either you get a safety, a field goal, or you run your ass to that end zone. Simple to understand. But when it comes to Trump trying to implement these tariffs and like we're going to get into, when it comes to Mexico, it was, we need to stop the illegal drugs from crossing over the border. First off, if I done said this once, I done said this a million times, I need people to understand. Majority of the fentanyl, or really any drugs, is coming through legal ports of entry. Hey, guess what? Maybe spend some time, some money, some resources, some individuals into the ports of entry. I mean, I just spent an hour looking up these statistics because it's been a while since I had to talk about this, and it's still the same. Nothing has changed. When it comes to fentanyl, it's been on the rise every single year when it comes to border encounters. It's just been on the rise. So once again, he's wanting to place these tariffs, which we done went over, is only going to hurt American citizens, but he's trying to threaten using these tariffs on vague, broad promises, and then when a deal is struck, the only thing that he got out of it was Mexican troops at the border. That's it. You spent all this time huffing and puffing to get that. But may I remind you, it's the same thing you already did during your first administration. And when you did that, did the fentanyl crisis come to an ease? No. Did illegal crossings come to a halt? No, not according to statistics, not according to your feelings, not according to your vibes, but according to the statistics, nothing has changed. So once again, why go through all this trouble screaming about tariffs if you're just going to end up doing the same things you did your first term? Well, let's take a look at ABC News, and it kind of hints at something. And in my perspective, this is the only reason why Trump decided to take whatever deal was placed in front of him to prevent what was starting to happen. The whole, art of the deal. This is like art of the bluff, honestly. But let's go ahead and take a watch.
Tariffs are paused for a month. President Trump confirmed the pause, saying Mexico will reinforce the border with 10,000 National Guard troops immediately as part of the negotiations. Let's go to ABC's Elizabeth Schulze on Wall Street, Matt Rivers in Mexico City, and Karen Travers at the White House. Matt, how significant is this deal, and what else came out of this conversation?
Well, this was the off-ramp that I think a lot of people had been hoping for. This is why this call was scheduled before this happened, and I think both sides will claim this as a win. The tariffs now being suspended for 1 month. President Sheinbaum coming out saying that President Trump agreed with her her suggestion that she would send 10,000 additional National Guard troops to the northern border. The big reason why the Trump administration says that they want these tariffs in place is essentially leverage to force Mexico to do more to stop the flow, the very large flow of fentanyl from here in Mexico to the United States, as well as migration, even though the numbers of migrants that we've been seeing go to the U.S. much lower than we've seen before.
So, just like he stated, we've done this before. We've done this dance before. And statistically speaking, during Trump's first term, what was solved when he first did this? Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is all semantics. This is all vanity. This is all entertainment. But it solves nothing. That's it. Like, Trump, he likes to play president, but he doesn't know how to be president. And just with this stupid back and forth proves it, because he could have had so much more of an impact on how to actually solve the issue of fentanyl and drugs coming through, once again, legal ports of entry. They're not just like throwing bags over a white picket fence at the border. Like, no. So once again, we're kind of missing a point here. And of course, like you said, like, both sides are going to claim this as victory. And I haven't seen the Ben Shapiro's or Fox News talk about this, but I guarantee they're going to say, oh, Trump forced them to send all these troops to do what? What statistics do you have to show that this is going to stop fentanyl from coming through? That'd be the question.
So President Sheinbaum essentially saying, okay, we'll reinforce the border with 10,000 troops. If all of this sounds familiar, it's because it's exactly what happened the last time President Trump threatened tariffs against Mexico. He did so against President López Obrador back in 2019. López Obrador responded by sending troops to the northern border. So it remains to be seen what difference this will actually make at the border, but this is clearly something that both sides will point to as a win. We kick the can down the road again in a month, and we'll have this conversation here on ABC News Live in 1 month from today.
We sure will. I know you'll stay on top of it for us, Matt. Karen, in the meantime, what's President Trump saying about the pause?
The president posted on social media confirming that he is pausing these tariffs on Mexico for a month and that he had a very friendly conversation with the Mexican president. And I think Matt gets at that point there, that this is just the pause for the month and that we are going to be talking about this again at that point, because the White House has not made clear exactly what metrics the president will want to see over that time. He is very happy, of course, that the Mexicans had agreed to send 10,000 National Guard troops to its northern border to stop the flow of drugs coming into the United States. But Diane, even as the White House and the president have said this is all about the drug trafficking and the drug flow, the president also last night talked about how the United States has been getting ripped off by countries all around the world.
And that will be some of the leading questions I need people who are in that area to start asking. Because when they say they want to completely stop the flow of drugs coming through the southern border, first off, tell me what the numbers are, because I can Google all day. I can read all the article and the sources that state these statistics, but I want to hear it from you guys. And then I want to hear what your goal is supposed to be by 6 months, the end of the year, 2 years, 4 years. What is the goal supposed to be? So if you don't meet these measures, when you don't meet your own realistic goals, then I can look at you and say, you guys failed. But no, they're not going to do that. They're just going to say, we won because we had them, and they're going to make up their own numbers. They're going to make up their own realities, and it's not based in facts. It's not based in data. So once again, they're going to control the narrative by just saying we stopped the flow of fentanyl, but the statistics say otherwise. Of course, we got to wait 4 years to get future numbers, but I guarantee you they're not going to do nothing because they're not telling us what the plan is. And once again, just sending troops at the border is going to confuse the drug traffickers. But guess what? It's their job to figure out other ways to get around. Hey, I mean, sorry to burst your bubble, but that's how that works. But hey, let's listen.
World for too long. So he was talking about an economic reason for doing these tariffs, and that is not something that would be addressed by those troops going to the border of the U.S.-Mexico border.
And Elizabeth, how are markets reacting to this pause announcement?
This is exactly what the stock market had been hoping to see. We saw the Dow drop a little bit at the open. It's now pared back some of those losses. And investors, traders I've been talking to, Diane, say the hope was that this really would be more of a threat than an actual implementation of a policy that would have drastic consequences on trade between the U.S. and Mexico, a huge trading partner. And
that right there is where once again, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but when Trump got wind of stock markets dropping, especially the ones that would be more affected by the tariffs that will affect Americans when it comes to tariffs on Mexico, a lot of their stocks were dropping. And I believe, okay, once again, call me crazy, but I believe he caught wind of that and said, whatever Mexico decides to put on the table, I'm just going to take and just flip it, flop it, turn it, twist it, turn it inside out, flop it around again, and claim it as a win. And that's what we're seeing. Because once again, just sending troops again to the border is not a solution at all. So, I mean, what happened to the art of the deal? Hey, I might get a shirt. I might have to print out some shirts and say art of the bluff. Because that's all he did. Hey, congratulations, Trump.
Very immediate consequences for households when you think about the prices of groceries or you think about the price of a car. These supply chains are so intertwined. Worth pointing out that as of now, there are still tariffs set to go into effect with Canada. Those 25% tariffs on imports from Canada, 10% on oil. And that is one area where we could see some immediate price impacts when you think about gas prices. And then you have 10% tariffs, additional tariffs on China. So there is still a threat for businesses and consumers when you think about the risk of higher prices. We'll have to see if some of those are reduced as the day goes on, as the president continues this conversation. But companies really holding out hope that this won't be a long-term policy that would force them to absorb higher costs and pass those costs down to consumers.
All right. And Karen, as Elizabeth mentioned, tariffs on Canadian goods are still expected to go into effect at midnight. So what are you watching for there?
All right. And once again, when it comes to Canada, we'll be on that story. Like I was going to say right on rice, but like that's overplayed. But you understand what I'm saying. But once again, when it comes to stories like this, it will be politicized. Like I'm pretty sure as I'm uploading this video, as you're watching this video, you're going to see 4, 5, 10 videos from Fox News or Ben Shapiro or whoever stating that this is a major victory for Trump. But once again, I guarantee, I'm recording this at 1:27. I believe it's February 3rd. Okay, they're not going to give you specifics on what Trump wanted to do or what they wanted to get from Mexico and what is supposed to stop statistically. You can't just say stop drugs from coming over. Like I need to know a little bit more than that. I mean, you can say things all day, but I need a plan on paper. I need some statistics. I need to know where we're at now currently and where you wanted to get in a year, 2 years, 4 years. Give me a real plan and not just some grandiose word salad of hopes and dreams and what you want to do. I'm not a Trump supporter. You can't just tell me whatever you want to say and it just sounds good, so I'm just going to believe it. No. Hey, guess what? We read books over here. I'm sorry. So once again, Trump, you lose because you suck. And that's really it. But once again, guys, I appreciate you watching. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that Discord button so me and you can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.